All right, let's get some things out of the way right up front here. Number one, Jussie Smollett is a goddamn idiot and a bad person. Number two, what he's done goes way beyond just lying to police for attention. And number three, yes, we're totally aware that we've got another Callum McSwiggins on our hands here, but honestly, this situation, it's even worse than that. And
I'd say a lot worse.
Yeah, we hate to take time away from Smollett, the whole Smollett story, to reignite the McSwiggin drama, but that one was wild too, so let's just get that out of the way because we know a ton of you viewers you love reminiscing about characters from our show's past, and there are a few striking similarities here, although again, for the records, the Smollett story, way worse.
A lot worse. Yeah, so for those unaware, Callum McSwiggins comes from the ETC vault of stories that we covered years ago. He was a YouTuber who, after a weekend at VidCon, faked a hate crime in the famously progressive city of West Hollywood, California. He claimed that he was attacked for being gay, yet he was the one arrested for vandalism, and then he proceeded to beat himself up while in his holding cell in the jail so that he could post a photo on Instagram and get support from the community while claiming that he was actually beaten up because of his sexuality. Obviously, the whole thing was bullshit, as we just told you, and he ended up getting kicked out of the country and off of our radar forever. The reason we first caught wind of the McSwiggin story was because, yes, he was a YouTuber, but also because nothing seemed to make a lot of sense about his story, and it quickly fell apart under the simplest of scrutiny.
Yeah, so that's also what happened when a few short weeks ago, Jussie Smollett, an actor on the show Empire, hatched an elaborate hoax with the apparent goal of increasing his level of fame while at the same time attempting to try to make President Trump's base of MAGA hat-wearing followers look cartoonishly evil. But even before the supposed hate crime took place, a mysterious, threatening letter was sent to Fox, the studio who produces the Empire TV show, and it was addressed to Smollett, which this was written in marker, and the letter itself was written in cutout letters like something you'd see in a movie.
Just like in all real crimes, you send a letter to...
You get out the glue stick.
Yeah, you got the glue stick, you cut up some magazines, and you send a letter to the news a week before the crime is committed.
Yeah. Now, first of all, we can't even do it justice describing it. Just look at this fucking thing. It's a wonder that it even successfully got mailed to the correct location in the first place, and it looks like it was done by a 3-year-old, and the return address is simply MAGA.
Now, look, it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility that a famous person would receive hate mail or death threats, and as sad as it is to say, we're sure this happens from time to time. It's shitty, but it happens, and thankfully, in the majority of cases, these threats aren't followed through on. But in that letter, it's clearly that's a death threat, and next to the letter is a crude drawing of what appears to be a man or a palm tree or something. Hard to tell. He's an actor, not an artist.
Yeah.
Holding another person up by a noose while a gun is pointed at them. And that's pretty much exactly what happened to Smollett just a few days after the letter was received at Fox. Which kind of points to the fact that Jussie Smollett almost certainly sent this letter to himself. And some reports have pointed to the fact that he might have gone through with the fake hate crime because the letter itself didn't get enough attention from the media. I just don't understand. Like, what? If this had worked,
You can't take it seriously. Obviously, a child did it.
if this had worked out 100% perfectly, how does this benefit him in any way?
I'm not sure. I kind of try
there
to.
are
I try to like rationalize it at the end, but yeah.
I just don't understand.
The letter didn't get enough attention because, for whatever reason, I mean, it literally looked like it was sent by a 3-year-old or someone that watches too many movies. The art was bad. I don't know if Jussie himself is a great artist, and that was a way to throw people off the trail. Like, no, not our Jussie. The man's very talented.
It looked like a little trick where you if you're right-handed,
You draw with your left hand?
Yeah.
But it's like stick figures and stuff. Anyways, let's leave that behind now, the letter, and let's jump into the alleged hate crime. And for the rundown, we'll be sourcing a lot of this from CBS News. They do a great rundown of all the events and reporting surrounding the story, and they were able to get a lot of the exclusives from the investigation. As always, links are below in the description if you want to read further. So this whole thing apparently went down at around 2 a.m. in Chicago, right before the polar vortex hit, but while temperatures were still far below freezing. It was very fucking cold. Smollett, he was at a Subway sandwich shop getting a bite to eat, but on his walk back home, he was approached by 2 men who yelled racist and homophobic slurs at him while questioning whether or not he was the guy from that show Empire. Now, first of all,
Is he even like famous? Like I honestly had never heard of this person before any of this.
I didn't either. Also, I just watched A Star Is Born, and that was my first thing with the movie. I was just like, how does everyone know who this guy is? I couldn't pick out a country music star out of a lineup. Mm-hmm. So it's weird right out of the gate. It's not as if everyone in the whole goddamn country, regardless of their political affiliation, watches Empire, nor would any random person know specific characters if they'd maybe just seen trailers for the show before another show that they were watching.
Especially if you are a apparently extremely bibigoted person.
Yeah, you're not really watching Empire.
I'm gonna put on another episode of Empire.
Time to hate watch.
Get all fuming mad about it.
So anyways, in sub-freezing temperatures, while walking down a street in the middle of the night, 2 would-be attackers were able to positively identify an actor from a TV show they certainly don't watch. It's unbelievable.
But for the sake of the argument, here's what happened next. The 2 men, who were wearing ski masks and carrying bleach and a noose with them for whatever reason, were able to put those items to use. What a coincidence. According to Smollett, the 2 dudes put the noose around his neck and poured the bleach all over him, but he was apparently able to fight back and escaped with a few cuts, bruises, and a broken rib. In their escape, the 2 men yelled, "This is MAGA country," in Chicago.
Yeah.
Not really
what you would
MAGA
consider
country by anyone's definition.
No.
Now, this is the story that he told the police, who noted that nearly an hour after the attack had taken place, he still had the noose around his neck.
He's an actor.
And that he only added the MAGA stuff in a follow-up interview with police a few hours later. Well,
why
it's like when you get in a car accident, you don't want to move things around.
Yeah. If you take out a glass shard, the blood's going to go everywhere.
Right. So I don't want to remove the noose. My head might fall off.
Yeah. They might not believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, support quickly poured out on social media from all over the place, including from his fellow cast members and people from the production of Empire. And hey, we get it. Your coworker gets jumped. It looks like it could be a hate crime. You want to believe it, because why the hell would he lie about something as serious as that?
Right. Why would someone lie about this? Clearly, the risks are much greater and much more serious than any possible rewards. So I'm going to choose to believe the initial story here, because you'd have to be a complete fucking idiot to lie about this. And I'm just going to assume, because of my faith in humanity, that this man isn't that fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Is that wrong of me to assume that?
Apparently, you're playing the role of a person on the crew, right?
Of just anyone.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I didn't follow this story that fucking closely, but it's like, you hear about it and you're like, yeah, I mean, like, hate crimes happen.
Yeah.
It's not like hate crimes don't happen. All made up. Yeah. Like, they fucking happen, and I'm like, okay, yeah, sure.
Having lived through the McSwiggins thing, when I read the details of it, I was like, I'm going to wait for this to play out a little while longer.
That one's different, though, because that one was not... I don't think it was premeditated. I think he just got really sloppy drunk.
Yeah, and then beat himself and then made
he's
it all
like,
up.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yes, he had some support from a lot of people. The discourse on social media in general was much worse, because it was yet another piece of kindling for the fire that continuously rages online as Americans continue to be further divided by acts of hatred. But through all the back and forth, some were justifiably confused by the story, because if it was 100% true, it would be an intensely targeted and extremely worrisome crime.
Yeah.
They either randomly bumped into this guy while roaming the streets in the middle of the night carrying bleach and a noose, or they somehow tracked his movements upon arrival to Chicago from New York and then launched their elaborate plan to torture and presumably kill this person after sending a threatening letter a week prior.
So in the days that followed, and after people began questioning the validity of these claims, Smollett doubled down on his side of the event, saying that he's been 100% factual and consistent on every level. Quote, "Despite my frustrations and deep concern with certain inaccuracies and misrepresentations that have been spread, I still believe that justice will be served."
Oh, it will. It will. He got that part right.
Oh, Jussie. By this point, the local Chicago police and the FBI were both investigating the case and devoting lots of precious resources
and time
to that. They were reviewing security footage from nearby housing and businesses, and they were interviewing potential witnesses or suspects. A lot of work was going into this case because, if true, it was a serious crime, and the whole world was watching it play out because this person was, I guess, famous. Meanwhile, Smollett traveled over to Los Angeles to take part in a sold-out charity concert in his honor at a local venue. I didn't even know about this. Holy shit.
That was the Troubadour.
Ooh!
Yeah.
Then he appeared on Good Morning America, where he was tearing up and defending himself against the growing accusations that he might not have been telling the truth.
Why would I lie? That would be the stupidest decision anyone could ever make.
This would be extremely stupid to lie about. There's... again, guys, if I was lying about this, I'd be a fucking idiot because the risks are so much greater and so much more serious than any possible rewards from being the victim of a hate crime. God damn it! Fuck you, Jussie!
The same day as the Good Morning America interview, there's a noticeable shift in the reporting of the story, with some outlets now starting to question his side of events publicly. Now, for their part, the Chicago PD, this is still under investigation, so they weren't confirming or denying anything here.
It's an active investigation.
Yeah, they said that they hadn't yet found evidence to prove or disprove anything that was said. But then, over this past weekend, 2 people defined as persons of interest were questioned and then released, which apparently added, quote, additional investigative work to complete. Well, it turns out that the 2 people questioned were 2 Nigerian brothers with connections to Smollett, one of whom was his personal trainer. During their questioning, they'd finally admitted to investigators that Smollett had actually paid them to initiate the attack and that they'd purchased the rope used for the noose at a nearby hardware store, and that evidence of the purchase was corroborated to detectives, which, kinda obviously seems to validate these 2 brothers' claims.
Then on Monday, the 2 brothers spoke publicly about their side of the events, confirming that they were paid by Smollett to fake the hate crime, but added that, quote, we're not racist, we're not homophobic, and we're not anti-Trump. We were born and raised in Chicago and are American citizens. Cut to yesterday, Wednesday the 20th, when news broke that Jussie Smollett had officially been charged with a felony charge of filing a false report, that even the initial death threat letter was sent by Smollett to himself, and that the reason he concocted this whole stupid scheme was because he was upset that his salary wasn't higher for his work on Empire. Fuck you!
So, apparently he thought that by staging a fake hate crime, he would garner more fame and sympathy and therefore be able to request a higher price for his work on the show? So, when this news broke about him being charged, it was also announced that the Chicago Police Department were working with his attorney so that he could go ahead and turn himself in, which he did the morning that we filmed this episode. His bond is set at $100,000. He paid it. But if found guilty for these charges, he could face up to 3 years in prison, in addition to paying back the city of Chicago for the cost of the entire investigation. Good. Because if you take 1 second here to think about all of the time and resources wasted on this wild goose chase, you'll quickly realize that there were most likely, you know what, dare I say it, there definitely were a lot of very real and very, very bad crimes happening within the city that should have had a lot more attention while police were busy solving this high-profile case that had garnered national attention.
Yeah, the estimates are putting it like between 20 and 24 detectives in the Chicago Police Department were working on this. That's a lot. Anyways, yeah, Jussie Smollett's a fucking idiot, and he's a bad person, and they should lock him up, and this isn't even the first time he's lied to police either, because apparently he was pulled over and charged with a DUI about 12 years ago, and at the time, he gave the cops his brother's name instead of his own in an attempt to avoid the bad press that would certainly follow. What a great brother. So that was his
What a great person.
What a fucking asshole. God damn it, Jussie, fuck you. So that was his first charge of providing false information to the police, and now he's got another, much more severe version of that same crime under his belt, which, I don't know, usually affects how sentencing works, because the first time you do something, they're like, well, use this as a learning opportunity. The second time you do something, they're like, okay, so you don't learn.
No, in fact, you do it worse.
Jussie Smollett is also a fucking idiot and a bad person because his actions have further divided a country that already feels like it's near its breaking point as far as divisive political issues are concerned. He tricked people who rally against social and racial injustice into looking like idiots for falling for his scheme, and he fueled up the tanks of people who constantly argue against the idea that actual racism and homophobia still run rampant in this country. And I'd argue he's making it more dangerous for potential victims of homophobic, racist hate crimes out there, because the next time something like this happens in real life, people are going to have one more reason to doubt the victim. Thanks.
I mean, that is exactly what we said on that episode about McSwiggins. And when I read the details of this, it did give me pause.
Yeah.
It turned out to be bullshit, but it was still just like, wow, that seems like it's fake.
Yeah.
I've lived through this before. History's repeating itself.
Yeah. So with this bullshit story, which was completely centered around his self-serving goal of a higher paycheck and more fame, he attempted to make Trump supporters look comically evil and bad, which then backfired and made people who supported him, and by proxy, people who simply think that racism and homophobia are bad, look like idiots because they believed his story 1,000% from the beginning without questioning it or waiting for the facts to play out. And the whole country is more divided because of this one fucking moron's actions. There are a lot of problems here and around the world regarding homophobia and racism in real life, and the actions of people like Jussie Smollett and Callum McSwiggins, they end up harming the real actual progress that's being made and has been made over the decades on those fronts. It sucks, he sucks, and he deserves to be charged and shamed for the rest of his fucking life. God damn it.
But will he be back on the next season of Empire?
I don't, it's not looking like it. Those, because they really stuck their neck out.
They rallied around him.
He is, wow.
Yeah.
Also, like, what's especially, like, you know, what's extra fucked up is, like, while this is happening, like, a guy in the fucking U.S. Coast Guard
was planning attacks.
Was arrested for, like, actual white supremacist violence that he was planning it. It might never have happened, but, like, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
And the entire media landscape is preoccupied with this bullshit that didn't even ever have to fucking happen.
Yeah. Anyways, that's it for our daily episode today. Stay tuned for News Dump and Weekly Weird to round out this week. If you like the show, you want to support the show,
ethicalscams.com.
Someone bought the URL ethicalscams.com and it redirects to our Patreon, or click the link below. You can join as a member. There's a join button right under the YouTube video here, so you can join on YouTube. You get some emotes, some other cool stuff.
Speaking of ethical scams, Jussie Smollett, not an ethical scam.
No.
Nor a cool crime.
Just a bad scam. Anyways, watch our other videos. We got a brand new Tech News Day and another video about that Fortnite Fest that's now getting sued. Enjoy the comments section below, and we'll see you next time.